Hi there, so you may remember seeing a video where I was talking about giving back my RP3 rowing machine after having it on demo. Well, there's been a Christmas miracle. Because it's back. Basically, Santa Claus worked his magic and I now have an RP3 as well, which is fantastic. So this video is going to be a video of how to assemble it. Now, like I said, this is version that I had on demo. So there's a couple, it's not a brand new machine, which means there's a couple of things that are different. It doesn't have the netting over the handles and it doesn't have the little screw to keep the flywheel in place. So I do recommend, if you've just got an RP3, checking out the official assembly video as well as this if you want to, just so you can find out the exact ways that they say to put it together, because this is basically just going to be one of these almost like AMSR videos where you're just going to watch me assembling the RP3. All right, so less chatting, more building. Here we go then. So first thing to do is get this thing out of the box. Now I'm hoping, I've got an overhead camera on me today, so I'm really hoping that's going to help, right? So again, the official video talks about cutting the box to pieces to get this out. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make some awful squeaky polystyrene noises to get it out. So if I just go out of shot a little bit here, it's the kind of thing that would be easier if there was more than one of me. Right, almost. Ta-da. There we go. Come on then, almost. I mean, if you have a sensitivity to the sound of polystyrene, this is a horror video, not a helpful video. So let me get this box out the way. There we go. So these little netting things actually come up, I'm going to fall, actually around the handle when you first get it. Apparently I didn't attach them back when I was planning to, to send this back. So here we go then. Let's take the top and I'll put that over here. So this is how the RP3 comes. And you can see there's a QR code here. And that's what you scan with your phone in order to get directly to the manufacturer's video for how to assemble this thing. But I'm going to try and do this from memory. So, and there is another box to all this, don't worry, in case you're like, how on earth is that the rowing machine? So, saddle, or seat, more like, we're not riding horses, foot plates. This is the back stop, okay, so this goes at the back of the machine. This is the front. This part attaches to the backstop. Ta-da. What else? A little bag of bolts. This is the actual plastic bits that go into the foot stretchers that you adjust. These bits go through the machine, which is what the foot plates adjust to. So I'm going to keep all foot plate accessories to one side. And then this is the main RP3 unit itself, which I'm going to have to, again, stand up and be a little bit ungainly to take this out. Oh, dearie me. There we go. It's quite heavy, so do be careful. You going to stay okay like that? Yeah, you are. And then you'll see that this little strap will also have been on it. I'll put it there so you can see it. Yeah, and this should have held the handle in place onto the handle stopper, but apparently I did a rubbish job of putting that back on too. It's a good thing I didn't have to send this back, isn't it? They'd have been charging me a fortune for repairs. Okay. And then there's this bit too. Can't remember if I need a Phillips screwdriver, so while I was over in that part of the room, I thought I'd get it. So I'm going to try and be as good a workman as possible and take all of the bits out that I will need and oops, and line them up nicely. So let's just pour everything out, take out the cable. So there's cable, there's the 4 big black bits. They are for either side of the foot plates. We have a couple of Allen keys, and then we have 4 bolts and 4 nuts that go onto them, and a spanner. Okay, so that's really the only tools that you need for this. And then it's just about a little bit of patience and just a little bit of time. So let's just gonna quickly take these out. So this is it comes in two or three packages. Get the big box that I've already opened. You get this bit, which is the rails, and then I don't know whether this is a standard when you order it or just the version that I got, but I also got an Amazon Fire 7, the 7-inch one. There you go, is that going to be enough? Wait, let's hope. Yeah, which then runs the RP3 software, because the monitor on the RP3, although it's good and it gives you information, it's not amazing. And so you can, much like Concept 2's, you can make it better by using the actual RP3 software. Just make sure I'm not going to hit something at the other end of the room. I mean, the rails are massive. That's the one thing that, in my experience using this on demo, that I found is that it's a really long machine compared to other ones. So it's much longer than my Concept 2. So basically, basically my Concept 2, when I'm not using it, I can stick it up against the wall. Can't do that with the RP3. So first things first then, we need to build the back stop, the back of the machine. So you get this bit. In fact, I'll do this slightly to the side so I can go into overhead cam. Now, I'm not intending to make any edits in this video, so apologies if you're having to watch me. You never, I might, you know. I think part of it is because my job is as an editor. Sometimes I get quite bored actually being an editor and doing it. So, right. Basically, this bit goes in here, but what you need to do is line up. There's a hole on the one end of it, and there's a hole at the bottom of the kind of foot part. You need to line them up. And then there is a tiny little Allen keyed nut that you then need to put in. Now, the one thing I did find when I was taking this apart, ready to send it back, is that this, the kind of foot, I've got it slightly off. This part, taking it apart, was actually really tricky because it actually kind of really seized on after a couple of months of use, and maybe it was a temperature change in here as well. Oh, come on. A little bit fiddly trying to get this on. And then if you use the Allen key, that's a lot easier, John. Well done. So yes, so put it in the hole, tighten it up. You don't have to do any kind of soft tighten on this. You can get it nice and tight, and basically you want it to be nice and tight. Okay, so that is the back of the RP3. And so what way around are we building it? Okay, we're building it this way. What you need to do is there's two rails that come here, and one of them goes either side of this back stop thing. We call it a back stop, it's probably not what it's called, but hey. So you'll notice that there is a big hole on the outside of it and smaller holes for the bolts to go through on the inside of it. And that's important when it comes to attaching it. So the big holes go on the outside. Then get these bolts and they push through, yeah. A bit of a brain fart there, sorry. They push through, and then what that means is that the end of these nuts kind of sits inside this hole. And that's important. It has to be inside like flush, because otherwise, well, you wouldn't want it to be protruding out because things would go wrong. Okay, I'm going to stick both of them through. You can just use an Allen key to make sure they're poked through if you wish. This is all going to kind of come undone when you offer up the other end. But here we go. So, the other end, make sure one of them, once you get one of them all the way through, it kind of locks it half in place. And then what you can do here, this is when I was talking about soft, where's the right size Allen key for this? Soft tightening at the back. For these ones, whoops, the bigger one. There we go. You could just add on these bolts that go through the rail. You can add these in nice and softly at first, just to make sure they catch, but don't tighten it too much. And it'll just kind of grab enough to stop things moving. And then what we can do is on the other end, put in the Allen key. And so it's attached, but it's not tight, let's say. Okay, so do the same on the other side. Make sure, is he poking through yet? Not yet. So I can push him through with that. And even if you hold your finger on one end, you can then tighten it. You don't have to worry about the other side. Enough to just it grabs and it's not going to fall off when you take your hand off. Now you can get your Allen key and you can make it nice and tight. Okay, and then you can take the other one, try and hold on to it. Now that one is now nice and tight. You have to be a little bit careful just because the front end of this is flapping in the wind now, so you don't want to do anything that's going to bend or damage it. I don't know if it would, but a little bit of care. He's throwing this thing all over the place. But a little bit of care and attention will probably pay you dividends in the end. Right, don't be alarmed by the terrible jump cut there and the fact you can already see the front of the machine's been assembled. Doofus here forgot to put the seat on before he put the front of the front of the machine on. So I'm going to put that on. But what you should do is once you've put the back end on, which we've just done, slide on the seat and then you put on the front of the machine. However, if like me, you forgot about it, then you can undo some of the work you've already done to slide it back on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the back end off. Then I'm going to roll the seat on, which make sure and have the hump at the front of it and the divot at the back of it, because you want the divot at the back to be where your tailbone goes. Then I can roll on the seat nicely, okay, and then attach the back end again, and we can get back to where we were. So we have to attach put the machine onto the rail before we can attach the front end of this, okay? So here's the front end, which I'll get in place, ready to go. Ideally, I'd have this with somebody else helping, but I don't have anyone else helping today. So there's two, if I move this to here, when you look at it, so this is the front of the machine that you would be rowing, looking at it, because that's your monitor there. And here is basically where these rails thread through and come out the other side, okay? So it's just a little bit of a game in terms of getting it put on. So let's have a go. If I carefully, I'm going to keep on saying carefully, because I don't want anyone watching this to be building the roll machine and say, the roll-along guy was really hashy, so that's what I did. So you can see that they poke through there, and so just very carefully, because it is going to catch when it hits the end, and now you just kind of need to eyeball it and make sure. Yeah, there we go. So combination of pushing the machine and I'm now sliding the rail forwards, and it's now come out the other end. So I know I'm now in a bit more of a stable position. Let's move him to the front. So now we're basically just doing exactly what we did on the back end, but on the front end. It's a little bit trickier because you're now having to lift the weight of the machine with it. So this is where getting ready to poke one through and hold it in place is advantageous. So if I... Okay, right, so remember I said I wasn't going to do any edits. There's just been a massive one because I put the bolts in the wrong way around. So remember, always check what side the nuts go onto. So one side's too small for them to go onto, the other side is the right side. So especially on this end, check and get it right first time, instead of getting as far as putting in both of the bolts, it all being lined up and then going, oh, you've done the wrong way around. So that's my tip when it comes to this stage of the build. So what I'm trying to do is line up the bolt that I just put in with the hole out that other end, which I've just done, and then use the smaller Allen key just to poke it through. I mean, of course, you don't have to use the smaller Allen key, but the thread side goes in the hole. Just have a soft tighten for the time being until you get the second one in, just in case you need to wiggle it around a little bit. You shouldn't need to, but you're not just spinning in the wind, are you? There we go. Nice and tight on that one, and then tight on that one, okay? And then, if you wish, at this stage, you can bring the machine forwards, and there's a little locking lever on it that will then stop this moving backwards while you're working on the rest of it. Not much to go, to be honest. It's just attaching the foot plates, and we're all done. So let's bring them in. Here's the foot plates, and then side with the strap is the side that points up. I know that sounds like I'm teaching you to suck eggs there, but it's worth looking at because there's one major thing that you can get wrong when you're putting these together. Look at the straps for what side it goes on as well. So you want the straps to come in, so you pull them in towards the center to tighten them. So if you look at this one, because the strap's on the outside here, then that means that this one is going to go on the left-hand side, okay? Again, it's worth doing that. It means that any force that you're putting on it when you are, if you do kind of put some kind of a tug with your feet, it's less likely to loosen the straps, let's say. However, we've got to put on the actual foot rest part here, and you can take it up to a certain point, but then you'll see underneath that it gets caught, that it won't come up. So this is where my screwdriver comes in, or actually, let's use the spanner that came with it, and then you can kind of scoop the spanner underneath the plastic foot plate, and then it comes up. There you go. And just by levering it up, it then allows this to come forwards, and you can pull it to just a certain height. Let's do the second one. So same thing again. Thread it over the top of the strap. It'll get to a certain point and it'll get trapped. Sorry. And then spanner. So the spanner that they give you in the tool set with this is for removing the little peg that sits on the flywheel to stop it spinning in transit. But it's also really useful as the lever for for getting the foot plates up. Okay, so that's the foot plates in, and I can tell because of the way the straps are flapping what way around it goes. And now poke the metal bar through the foot plate. Come on. There we go. And then you'll see that there's the two holes here. Top one naturally goes into the top. The bottom one, you'll be surprised to hear, goes through the bottom. And then the second one basically just does exactly the same thing. Now here's a good idea, is make sure when you're doing this that you don't actually trap the strap on the inside when you're attaching it, which all the time I had this machine on demo, I had done, but I never really got around to fixing it because I thought, you know what, I'm eventually going to give this back. So, yeah, a bit lazy of me, must be said. So, the 4 bolts that you get to attach these are quite long bolts, and so you'll maybe look at this and think, hang on, that's never going to work. But what you can do is just attach the bolt, push it through, and it should poke out just enough on that other end that you can finger tighten everything up, like that. And same at the bottom. Bring the metal pipe onto one end to make this easier. Finger tighten, push it through, and it should just be in the right enough place for that side. There we go. And then stick in your Allen key. I mean, these are one of the things that you're they shouldn't really come loose, so you don't have to worry about them being over tight coming in, so you can, because you only have one Allen key for doing this, so but just come back periodically and check them. Okay, then handle, come here, come on. Whee. Goes into the handle holder. You'll notice on the Model T that the back of the seat there is a spirit level. And so what we want to do is make sure that it's, well, level, okay? So the problem is if you put it all the way up to the back, because it's raised slightly at the back, then you'll be off. So put the seat in the middle of the rail, give it a little bit of a shake to see what happens. And actually, my bubble is pretty much in the right place. So hopefully what that should mean is that if I unlock the front of the machine, it just stays where it is. Whereas when I first built this and made a review video of it, that front end was kind of racing up and down all over the place, and that's because I hadn't leveled it off. It's still slightly off, so I guess I need to, so if you push on the button, you can see what's about to happen, yay. So if you push on the button in the back, the pneumatic kind of air thing sends it up. So I've pushed on the button again, push the back end down until that bubble, come on, there you go, and that's it level. So essentially, in fact, if I move this back a little bit, that's the machine built. But there's one last thing to do. So I'm going to get the monitor up into its monitor position, then sit on the seat. This is where I get worried about my own handiwork, but it's all fine. And then here we have the Amazon Fire 7, or the Fire, whatever, Amazon, whatever you want to call it, which then sits inside the clamp. And then there's the cable that comes with it. That's the old USB B, A, whatever. One of the original small USB connections. And then a USB-C on the other end. Turn on the monitor. Whee! Unlock it. And then actually the RP3 software is automatically opened up because I guess the Bluetooth would have automatically triggered when I pulled the handle. So it's pretty cool that it did it instantly. So we're going to check. Check that everything works. So I hit quick session and then it automatically started. Just the only downside to I'd say if there was a downside to this machine is just the monitor's so far away the way this works. So just let's do a test while I'm in my jeans. And it's all working. And this is the point of the RP3, if you hadn't realized, is that it's a dynamic erg. So I stay in the same place, well, most of the same place, and it's the machine that moves, which makes it feel a lot more like I was rowing in a boat. And it really does focus the need to push with the legs. The difference in feel of an RP3 is instant. You just can't have a bad technique on it and put in proper power. So there we go. That was, I was about to say that was how to build an RP3, but it quite clearly wasn't, was it? After doofus here forgetting to put the seat on. Yeah, so there you go. This is why you should always read the instructions and not just try and make it up as you go along, okay? So that's it. So that's the Model T all ready for me to start using for Sunday morning rows on the Exa app, which please join in if you have the ability to. I'm basically rotating. One week I do the Concept 2, the next week I'm on a water rower, the next week I'll be using the RP3. So every Sunday morning, usually at 9 o'clock in the morning GMT, we do a group row on the Exa app. Hogmanay, December 31st, we're doing it at 10 o'clock just to make sure we don't have to get up too early because we've all got partying to do the rest of the day. So yeah, so I'll be on the RP3 for that one, but otherwise I'll be 9 o'clock in the morning GMT. So hopefully you will join me for that. But until then, I hope you had a laugh when you were like, where's the seat? Why hasn't he put it on yet? Doofus, yeah. So thanks very much for watching this one. I will see you in a future video. Until then, take care, be well. Bye-bye.